Welcome to Real Estate in the Tri-State, where we talk about all things buying, selling, and investing in the Dubuque area. Featuring experienced locals giving you their real estate insight. My name is Abby Rottler, and here is your host, my husband, Rob Rottler.
Okay, welcome back to Real Estate in the Tri-State. Today's guest is Michael Morawski. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. He's a 30-plus year real estate investment veteran. He has controlled over $285 million in real estate transactions. He's an entrepreneur, author, real estate trainer, public speaker, and personal coach with strong personal resilience and a deep desire to help others live an extraordinary life. Love that. He has coached hundreds of real estate investors to fulfill their dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Michael Morawski. Michael, hey, thanks for being on. Really appreciate you being on today.
Yeah, Rob, thanks for having me. I appreciate being here too. So I hope I can bring some value to your listeners.
We absolutely will get there, I am sure, after reading a little bit more about you. So, audience, if you haven't found out or figured it out yet, I am basically just meeting Michael, and he's got a tremendous story that we're going to get into today, and a lot of lessons, a lot of valuable information for my audience, and I'm excited to bring it to you. Michael, if you would just kind of tell us a little bit more about yourself so we can get to know you better.
Sure. I'm a 30-year real estate veteran, just like my bio says, right? But I think there's a story behind that too, Rob. I was in the general contracting business and had a very successful contracting company, and I'm from Chicago, so in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. It's doing about $5 million a year in residential work, which at the time was quite a bit. And I woke up one morning and looked at my wife, who I was married to at the time, and said, hey, I'm burnt out. I can't do this anymore. And we sold the company, and I took a year off. During that year, I really wanted to figure out what I was going to do with the rest of my life, and where I was going to go. We house hacked a couple of two-flats during that year, which that was long before it was popular or sexy to do, right?
Yeah.
So we house hacked a couple of two-flats, and I met a realist.
Can you explain the two-flat?
Oh, yeah, two-unit properties. So in Chicago, they're called two flats. They're on top of each other. So you got a main floor and then one on top.
Wonderful.
Some places there are duplexes next to each other, right? This is two flat, one on top of the other. So I met a real estate agent along the way, and I decided that I was going to go into the real estate business because he was really successful at what he did. And I called him up one day and I said, hey, Todd, I think I want to go in the real estate business. And he said, I think you'd be great at it. I think you'd be a great sales guy. I said, good. I'm glad you're saying that because I'd like you to teach me. Can I come and shadow you? I'm a big proponent, Rob, that success leaves clues. And if we go to successful people, we learn, right?
Yes.
So here's what Todd said, and I'm going to date myself a little bit. He goes, hey, listen, I am going to do better than let you shadow me. He said, I'll make you a cassette tape. And cassette tapes back then are like what podcasts are today, right?
Yeah.
But I listened to this thing over and over and over again. I actually wore it out. But the philosophy and the systems and strategies that he taught me on that tape, I went into the real estate sales business. In my first 8 months, I sold 78 properties. I was RE/MAX Rookie of the Year that year.
Wow.
Yeah. I went on to build a team of selling 125 homes a year. And in 2005, I saw the market starting to shift. And I said, boy, we're not going to keep this production up. Need to go do something else. So I always had wanted to go in the apartment business. I had watched, when I was in the construction business, I'd done a lot of work for Inland Real Estate. Inland today is one of the largest REITs in the world. A REIT is a real estate investment trust, kind of like a mutual fund. You pay money in and you have dividends or shares in that mutual fund. And, there's a company started for high school teachers, right? And over the course of time, they're the largest REIT in the world today. I understood the model, Rob. I understand that you raise private capital, you find a great real estate deal, you marry the two, you stay in the middle. As long as everything goes okay, everybody makes money. So over the next 18 months, in 2005, I syndicated my first deal. Over the next 18 months, I raised $18 million, bought $60 million worth of real estate, was 4,000 apartments in 5 different states, built a property management company managing 7,500 units, and went on from there to build another property management company that was a different type of company. It was a single family scattered site property management company, and sold that company. And today I'm in the coaching and training space. So today I feel like I've taken all my years of knowledge and put it on a platform that I teach people, and I coach real estate investors and real estate agents.
That is outstanding. Wow. There's a lot going on there. First of all, how'd you do 78 transactions in your first 8 months?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you know what? All the podcasts I've been on, you're the first one to ask me that question.
Wow.
So here's what I did. I've spent a lot of time lately on Clubhouse. Clubhouse is like the new hot app, right?
Yep, I got the app. I'm in the club. I got in the club last week.
But here's the thing about Clubhouse. It's all about how much can you give away. It's about giving back. It's about teaching. It's about letting other people really see who you are, right? And learning from them. And what's interesting is way back when he made that cassette tape for me was the same thing. He taught me the principles that Dale Carnegie wrote in his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And he taught me that you give as much as you can possibly give. Just give. So he had a system that was designed for sale by owners. And what it was you would call for sale by owners and say, hey, Rob, I'm not calling trying to sell your house. I'm calling trying to help you sell your house. And, it catches people off guard because they have so many people calling, hey, I can sell your house for you, and this is what I can do. Look, I have a program, I have a system. It doesn't cost you anything. I'll help you sell your house. Rob, you're going to probably ask me what the catch is, right? Here's what I'm going to say. Here's what the catch is, Rob. The catch is that if you don't sell your house, that you give me an opportunity to show you what I can do to sell it for you. That's great. I had all of these people. I was teaching them how to sell their house. So I taught them how to stage it. I taught them how to price it. I had a lender that put pricing sheets together. We put brochures out of our office together for them. Of course, everything branded, my team name at the company we were at. And we did open houses. I had for sale signs. I had open house signs, all branded with my team name. And, you do enough of those, and enough of them don't sell because they just don't sell. And because a lot of people don't want to buy just a for sale by owner. They want to use that professional. They want to use that touch. So I just did enough of it over time that I was able to engage enough listings and sell those listings. And the funny part of it is that you never competed for the listing, right? So you built this relationship over 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 months. And people would say, I give up. Just take the listing. Just listen. Yep. So there was never a listing presentation. I think it was a couple years later before I learned the listing presentation.
That is tremendous. Wow. Because so many for sale by owners aren't going to sell. There's like there's a really high percentage of for sale by owners that eventually end up listing and selling.
Right.
So you were there. You were the guy. And it started with adding value.
Yeah.
I'm sure you got a lot of for sale by owners that were thinking like, wait, I don't want to pay your commission. That might have been, was that their first response when you said, hey, I want to help you?
Hey, I don't want a real estate agent. Hey, I'm not calling to sell your house. Listen, I have an offer for you. It won't cost you anything. Oh, yeah, I've heard it. Listen, I have an offer for you that won't cost you anything. Can I get 20 minutes of your time? Let me stop by. What if I could sell your house for you or help you sell your house and it didn't cost you any more money? Would that be worth 10 minutes of your time?
Wow. And that was it. That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, I suppose just finding your little niche. That was your niche and you just went with it.
Hey, Rob, here's what's funny, right? Is I believe even with all the technology and all the social media and all the bells and whistles today, that system still will work in the marketplace. I believe if I went back in the real estate business today as a sales agent, that I could duplicate that system again.
Yeah, I have seen it. Just because I am a realtor as well, and I get advertisements that pop up and stuff, and there's sell, like there'll be an advertisement that's like go from 0 listings a year to 50 with for sale by owners, like those type of things. I've seen that being a strong niche, but I've never seen it executed as well as you did. So kudos to you. You were crushing it, man, right off the bat.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. And you seem to then you transition into some multifamily and investing, property management, and you crush it in all those right off the bat. What do you think it is that really allows you to find that success so quickly in those things?
Yeah, I have a determination. I think I got a work ethic, first of all, from my dad. Growing up, I watched my dad and just got this work ethic instilled in me that I work and I do what needs to be done. I'll roll my sleeves up and I dig in. The snow needs to be shoveled, I go shovel the snow. My kid needs help with his homework, I help him with his homework. I think it all comes down to work ethic. It comes down to doing what needs to be done. It's mastering the repetitious boredom and not getting hung up by the shiny object syndrome.
The repetitious boredom. Love that. That's great. Yeah, cool. A lot of times the stuff that needs to get done is not the shiny and the fun stuff. It's the reps and it's the boredom. It's just the sticking around, That's great. So what got you passionate in multifamily real estate? Why do you like multifamily? Why'd you decide to go that route?
Yeah. So interesting question. A couple stories around that. And I was probably 8 years old on a vacation, family vacation. I'm sitting on the side of the swimming pool and my dad and I are sitting there. And I remember clearly asking my dad about the resort we were staying at and all the doors and the rooms. We had no real estate background in our family, no entrepreneurial background, nothing like that.
Surprising.
And my dad's trying to tell me that people come there, they stay there, and they pay the guy who owns it money. And I don't know, something clicked in me, and I said, I want to be the guy that owns this. I want people to pay me money, right? So I'll never forget that conversation. I think, and that's something that always stuck with me. Real estate's accessible, right? Everywhere you go, you see it. You drive down the highway, you drive down the road. I remember asking my mom, hey, who owns that building? And she told me insurance companies. And I never believed it till I did my first institutional deal with an insurance company. And they funded the deal, right? Insurance companies own these big buildings. So it's just interesting how all that came to play. But when I was in the construction business, I did a lot of work for Inland, a lot of work for another syndicator out of Chicago. And I loved the model. I said, God, this is simple. Anybody could go do this. You raise money from people from private individuals. You marry it with a real estate deal, and everybody wins. It's a win-win situation, and I'm all about building a win-win situation. So that's what I did. That's what got me intrigued in the apartment business.
Lovely. Now, when you were raising private capital, were you going out, you were talking to people who had some extra money, maybe they're interested in investing in real estate, but they don't have the time or the experience or the knowledge or the hustle or any of that. They just have the money. Were you looking for the money first and then the deal, or did you find the deal first and then kind of try to find the money? Because I've heard it go both ways. I mean, there's a property in the Dubuque area right now. I was just talking in our office on Tuesday that they kind of got the deal together and they're working on the money. So it's interesting. But I'm just curious what you found to be successful.
Yeah. So I've done it both ways. It's actually easier to have the deal tied up and then market the deal. We're in a market right now, though, that it's really a hot market. So to do that's a little bit more difficult. You almost have to have money raised right now to be able to do that. But people, it was a funny thing how I raised money. Right?
Let's hear it.
I just did a group coaching call this afternoon where I talked about no money down deals, creative financing. Part of it was about other people's money, raising private equity, and that. And it made me really think about it. So what I used to do was I was in an office and I had a big conference room, and I could put 20 people in the conference room, and I did it twice a week. So I had a small database. I had about 250 people. This was long before social media. There was no social media. We had email at that time. I think, what was that first like Facebook platform, MySpace or something?
Yeah.
So I think MySpace was just like coming out.
Yeah.
And so I would put 20 people in a room twice a week on Tuesday and Thursday night, 20 new faces, 40 people a week. I did that for 2 years. But what I did was I drove them to a bus tour. So I brought them to the room. I gave them a book called The Millionaire Real Estate Investor by Gary Keller, one of the best books I think ever written. And I taught the seminar around that book. And then what we said was on Saturday, we're going to do a bus tour. We would take 12 people from that week. We'd put them on a little short white bus. And the lenders would bring coffee, donuts, and bagels. And the title company would be there, and an insurance guy and an attorney. And I'd put 12 investors or wannabe investors on a bus. We'd go out and look at 6 properties. We'd go look at 2 brand new construction, nice, beautiful, clean deals. We'd go look at 2 deals that just kind of maybe needed some lipstick, right? Just a little fixing up. And then we'd look at 2 deals that needed everything, complete, terrible, falling off the foundation deals.
Yeah.
Always people said, this is going to be way too much work. I can't do this. We're just going to give you money. And the light bulb went on. Oh, okay. So now we started raising money that way. So what I started to do then was I would do those seminars and I would say, oh, by the way, we have this deal. And now we would spend the next few minutes at the end of the seminar talking about that 200 unit apartment complex that we were doing. And here's the returns and here's what it looks like. And that's how we raise money.
And so you, did you have your own little REIT going on then for something like that? Like join our REIT. We have, the X amount of investors. Here's our return. We'll give you a quarterly dividend type of thing, or?
Every deal was individual. So I did 38 deals. I raised money on 38 separate deals. So.
Wow. And that's amazing. So you arranged that whole thing yourself. You're like, yep, this is going to be my thing, Tuesday and Thursday nights, and then Saturday on the bus. And you talk to the lender and the title and the attorney and you got them all together. And wow, that's great.
And I had a team, I had people that worked for me, and I had a team. We had, we built a property management company, and my partner was a COO, and I had investor relations people and due diligence people. And I had, I had a woman that her job solely was to take care of the lending, to underwrite the deal for us, to package the loans for the lender. It was a big job. I give that woman a lot of credit for all the work she did for us. So.
Wow.
And I need to back up just in case any of those people ever hear this. They all worked really hard, and they did a great job. I had a great team of people around me. That's
awesome. Yeah, that's a big deal too. I mean, what were some of the challenges and things you learned and some of your strengths as a team leader, I guess?
Boy, there were there were a lot. I think some of the things you learn things along the way that you go, wow, I wish I would have known that 2 weeks ago, or I wish I would have known that last year, right?
Yeah.
You learn how to raise money easier. You learn about documentation. I mean, my first set of paperwork I put together, I think we spent $80,000 on LLC agreements and PPMs for that first deal. But those were always rock solid. You know, investors were protected, we were protected. It was putting a win-win together. We learned how to manage construction at a better rate. And I was the front guy. I was the face of the company. I was the guy who, with the visionary. I raised the money. I met investors. I did I was the deal guy. I negotiated the deals, put the deals together.
Wow. Well, that's great. Yeah. So you were having lots of success, and then 05 came around, or was this?
We started in 05.
Started in 05.
Yeah.
So you found tons of success right off the bat in a lot of different areas, and then the market started to turn.
Yeah, 2008. The market started to crash. We saw the worst economic situation this country's ever seen. I remember sitting at lunch with my CFO, watching the news happen to be on, and we were sitting at a restaurant called Big Bowl, and we were sitting in the bar because we were watching the news, and we were watching people walk out of Lehman Brothers with boxes. And I looked at him and I said, "We're screwed, aren't we?" And I didn't say it that way, but he looked at me and he goes, "Yeah, we're in big trouble."
Oof.
So the market, the world just went to hell in a handbasket after that. Lehman, AIG, all the big names, Goldman Sachs, everybody was in trouble, right? And everybody was over leveraged and borrowed money from each other, and the stock market went upside down, and the residential market got wiped out. And we thought, wow, people are going to still need apartments. So we went crazy. I went crazy and I've closed 17 deals in 2007. And we couldn't buy enough property fast enough that year. And I closed 2,700 units that year. Big mistake. Way too fast, unstable, didn't stabilize deals. There was a problem. So 2008, we this whole Lehman Brothers AIG thing happened. Bears and Stearns, and everybody who crashed. We rode the storm out pretty well. We got into the first quarter of 2010 and we imploded. We couldn't do anything to hold it together anymore. I had occupancy problems where we went from 90% occupancy to 70 overnight. We used to buy properties in the high 60s, low 70s occupancy and ramp them back up to 90, 92, 94% occupancy because we did repairs and all kinds of things. We had our average occupancy on 4,000 units ran at about 94% occupied. And overnight, we went to 68, 70% occupied, wiped us out. So as a result, I had properties that were running really well and properties that weren't. And instead of letting those properties that weren't just go to foreclosure and some investors get hurt, I came up with this brilliant idea that, hey, we could probably save the whole ship. This isn't going to be that long and the market will come back. So I started moving money back and forth between companies. And that was fine. There was not a problem with that. I wasn't breaking the law by doing that. But I didn't disclose it to my investors. So I broke the law by not disclosing it to my investors. As a result of that, we imploded, couldn't keep everything afloat, and wound up getting indicted on federal wire fraud and mail fraud charges, and ultimately got sentenced to a 10-year prison sentence for the non-disclosure piece.
Wow, that's a big that's a big deal. Yeah, I mean, talk about that experience a little more.
Yeah, so it was terrible.
Yeah.
You talk about things you learn along the way. Well, here, while I was in prison, I wrote a list of 30 things, but some of those things were, I was over leveraged. I was 85% loan to value on my deals, when today I would never advise anybody to be any less than 75%. And, if you were 65, 70%, you're in a better position. I didn't raise enough money on deals. I had written in my offering documents that I would never come back to my investors for a capital call. All bad mistakes. I overpaid for properties. I didn't listen to people around me along the way who were seeing red flags that I was missing. I had my head buried in the sand. And I had buried my head in the sand because I had seen corrections in the market before, but not 40%. There was a 47% correction in the marketplace that lasted 8 years. I thought, God, a couple of years, this will bounce back. This will bounce back in 17 months, 7 months. If you looked at the history, a recession, you're in a recession for 17 months tops. And, we were in that thing for 8 years. So we just couldn't withstand the storm. And so, I tried to play the game of moving money back and forth. And it was a circus.
And you learned a lot, sounds like. Yeah. So how long did you spend in there?
In prison?
Yeah.
Yeah. I spent about 7.5 years, almost 8 years I was gone in prison. And then I came home and I did about another year on home confinement where I was on an ankle bracelet. And so.
What else? I mean, so you learned a lot. And how do you use that to help other people now who are looking to get into it and do big things?
That's a great question. And I think there's a lot of impact in the story. Okay. I went from being okay, being moderate, being middle class, made millions of dollars in a very short period of time. And the funny thing is, even when I was in court, the judge said, Mr. Morawski, you never, your lifestyle never changed. Matter of fact, selling real estate, remember I said I was selling 125 houses a year? I was making about $350,000 a year. I didn't need to go do anything else. I took a pay cut of $200,000 a year because I knew that the back end of this syndication deal, and if I got to 10,000 units, would be a totally different show, right? So I took a pay cut. I didn't need to do that. I didn't need to go do anything else. I made millions of dollars in 30 months and really thought that things were going to go well, but the market corrected as it did, lost everything, wiped us out. So the lessons I learned, and I would invite any business owner, leader, entrepreneur, CEO of a company, CFO, pay attention to the numbers. I didn't look at the numbers enough. I missed the red flags. Reports I got were inconsistent. Reports I got didn't tell all the story. They were manipulated by people on my team to make things look better than they were. I wound up not listening to people around me. I had an attorney tell me, hey, I don't know why you're in business, with your partner. So there were those issues. I'm out to dinner one night with my wife and my ex-partner, and I'll just tell this story real quick, Rob. So I was in 2008. This was before anything happened and before there were any problems. I'm trying to close a deal. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I'm closing 170 or 187 unit apartment complex. And the money's not coming from my office. I need $500,000 and it's not showing up. I finally get my partner on the phone and he says, hey, I don't know how to tell you this. And when your partner tells you, starts a conversation like that, you go, uh-oh, where are we going?
Yeah.
Money from the escrow took $500,000 out of the escrow account, needed it for the operation. Said I thought I could have the money back. I didn't. I got crazy. I said, Frank, we've had this conversation. I've told you not to do that, and you did it anyhow. So that was fine. I went back. We dry closed that deal. I raised a little more money and funded the deal on the following Tuesday. It was fine. It was probably one of the best deals I bought. But here's what happened. That Friday night, I never talked to my wife about business. I never talked to her about anything that happened. But that Friday night, my wife and I and his wife and him went out to dinner. And on the way home out of clear blue nowhere. Now, my wife doesn't know what happened on Wednesday about the money and the deal not closing. She looks at me, she says, I don't trust him. And what do I do? As a good husband, I go, honey, don't worry, I've got this under control. And I didn't have anything under control, right? And a week later, my attorney said, I don't trust him. Why are you in business with him? And then there was another incident shortly after that with my CFO. And I missed the red flags. I just, I thought everything was fine. Now, I'm not saying it's his fault. I broke the law. I take responsibility. I was the CEO of the company. Do I think what I did was right? Absolutely not. I take full responsibility. I'm sorry for my actions. And I learned a lot. So I learned those 30 things, from listening to people, over leveraged, not raising enough money, and the list goes on. But I think what's more important, Rob, is what I did while I was gone. I went to prison. Prison's a really dark place. It's evil. There's a lot that goes on that in the beginning, you don't really know how to move around and you don't know how to mitigate that. But you learn over time. And so I was there probably about a month. And at this point, I'd lost pretty much everything on the outside. And my wife all of a sudden tells me she's going to divorce me and move on. It ruined me. So, I went from having all this great stuff, building this great business, making millions of dollars, to all of a sudden nothing, and living out of a 3x5 locker, having 3 green uniforms and 5 pairs of underclothes. Your life changes like that, right? So one day I walk into the gym. I'm probably there about 5 weeks, and the guys around me knew that I was just a wreck, could hardly function from day to day. This guy walks up to me, and I'll never forget him. And he said to me, he goes, don't let these people beat you. He goes, all they want to do is beat you and make you lose. And he said, you get that 10 years back. He goes, you come to this gym every day, you work on your physical health, and at that time I was probably 35 pounds, 32 pounds overweight. You can work on your physical health, you work on your emotional health, your mental health will come back because of your physical health. There's the best advice anybody gave me. There's a saying when you go into prison, you can either do the time or let the time do you. And I chose to do the time because I knew that I couldn't go home in the condition that I was in then, and I wanted to go home. So I took the next few years and changed my life. First of all, I went to college. I got a bachelor's degree in theology. I went to the gym every day. I worked out. I came home in the best physical shape I've ever been in my life. I wrote 2 books while I was gone. One is called Exit Plan, which we could talk about, and I'd love to give a copy away to your listeners when we're done here. But it's Exit Plan, your complete guide to multifamily investing and why you need an exit plan before you buy. I wrote a home study course. I taught that in prison for 5 years. Same thing with a property management book and a property management course. Taught that while I was gone. I wrote an ethics course, taught ethics, taught Bible study. I was on an outreach program. I went into the community and told my story 40 times to small business owners and to the college students at the University of Wisconsin and the University of Minnesota. I met a professor from the University of Minnesota and we just got published in the Business Journal of Ethics a case study that we wrote, co-authored, and it gets taught at the college level at forensic accounting classes and sales and marketing classes on criminal behavior and fraud cases. So I used my time wisely, Rob, and I came home and I think I have a lot of wisdom today. Knowledge is one thing, right? And there's a lot of guys that have a lot of knowledge and teach a lot, but I think wisdom comes with the ups and the downs. And we're all faced with challenges. It's what we do after. What do we do when we fall down? When we stub our toe, do we get back up or not? So I just chose to get back up. And you asked me early on where that came from, and I'm not really sure, but I'm not going to let them beat me.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. I mean, you go from a really low point and you really turned it into a positive. It sounds like kind of like, like a slingshot. Like you get pulled back into a situation, it really sucks. You could sit there and mope about it forever, but you really decided, and that guy helped you, slingshot into where you are today. So what else are you doing? What are you doing now? Talk to us about your book, Exit Plan, and where you've been since then.
Yeah. So I wrote a book called Exit Plan. It's your complete guide to multifamily investing and why you need an exit plan. Hence the title, because I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years on coaching and training, books, tapes, seminars. Great trainers, great teachers. Everybody teaches you how to find a deal. Everybody teaches you how to get in a deal. Everybody teaches you how to operate a deal. Nobody teaches you how to get out. Nobody teaches you when to get out. And, exiting doesn't just necessarily mean selling. There's other ways to exit a deal. There's other ways to not give up control, to hold on to control, to make money and do things with your property. So that's why I wrote the book. It's funny, I just read a book recently by a really well-known author, 379 pages. We got to page 370 and he says, well, now let's talk about exit plan. After all your hard work, eight lines. And I thought, man, shouldn't you be talking about this up front? Shouldn't you be talking about this before you ever go to the closing table? Know when you're going to exit. When I do a evaluation on a deal, I'll run a 10-year spread, right? And somewhere always in that 10 years is the most profitable point. Why not do something at the profitable point? 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, wherever it falls. Make some capital event. Bring a partner in. Do something that's going to give you capital to go do something else, and then run the deal again. So there's different structures, different strategies. I just teach a different philosophy. I'm in the coaching and training space, so I have a platform that I do seminars, boot camps, and I do personalized one-on-one coaching.
Love it. So, so you mentioned a few of those exit plans there. What's your favorite exit plan to mention to maybe someone getting into investing, or do you think there's just way too many moving pieces to, I guess, pick one? Is it too broad of a question, I guess?
I'll tell you a story about one that we did. I can't say it's my favorite, but it's a good story, I think. Had a deal in Dallas we were doing, and I was courting an insurance company. It would have been the first institutional deal that we did. And boy, he just wouldn't pull the trigger. So I had this deal under contract. I had it tied up, and I'll never forget. He just didn't have the faith in me or the deal yet, right? Really liked the deal, and we had been golfing a couple of times and enjoyed a couple of meals. We had walked the property a couple of times during the due diligence period. We did due diligence. He did due diligence. The deal checked out. I think he just wasn't confident in us. So I put some private investors together, and we bought the deal. And he stayed in touch with me. And over about an 8-month period, we changed the dynamics of that property. It was 187 units. I think 87 of the units we completely renovated. We were able to raise the rent. We changed the curb appeal. We changed the dynamics of the property and changed the NOI. And one day he called me up. He said, "Hey, I want to be your partner." Okay. I said, "I don't have a deal right now." He goes, No. I want to be your partner in that deal. I said, "You can't do that now." I said, "I have investors." He goes, "We'll buy them out." I said, "Really?" So this was probably one of the first times I said, wow, this is a different kind of an exit. So we brought him in as a partner, and we bought out our investors. And, I made a couple $1 million on that deal in 8 months. And that was one of the times that the light bulb went on and went, holy cow, there's a lot of ways to do this. And so, it's all about strategy and it's about structure. But that was a well-run deal. That was a great deal.
Love that. And so great. I do have a few closing questions. I know I want to respect your time. So I'll get to a couple of these closing questions, and then any last words from you would be great. Sure. What's your favorite book?
My favorite book, I think I mentioned it earlier. It's Millionaire Real Estate Investor. And that would be my favorite book next to the Bible. Bible would be first, but this book by Gary Keller is Millionaire Real Estate Investor is just absolutely, I think, off the chains.
Love it. What do you have for hobbies?
I love to travel, and I love golf. So that's why I always bought my deals in the warmer states, because I could golf a little longer in the year.
There you go. Good deal. Who is someone you're wanting to meet? If you could meet anyone, they got to be alive.
They have to be alive. Oh, I would like to spend some time with Tony Robbins, one-on-one, just individual time.
Yeah, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just around a fire or something. Yeah. Or golfing.
Golfing.
With Tony Robbins. Listeners, if you know Tony Robbins, let's hook Mike up with a golf session.
Let's get this podcast in his hand, please.
Yeah, that'd be great. Cool. What are you currently focusing on, and how can the listeners help you?
Boy, that's a great question. What I'm currently focusing on is, I'm building a business, right? So that's always a big focus. This year, we're going to do some real estate deals, building a couple of new construction houses in a city, in an area in Chicago that's going through a real gentrification process. So that's a real big opportunity there. And I think today that there's real opportunity in small multifamilies. I think there's opportunity across the board in multifamily, but really in small multifamily flips. And how I look at it is from 3 unit to 15 unit deals in that space, repositioning, restructuring these deals. I think that there's big opportunity there. So I'm looking to do some flip deals in and out in 15 to 20 months. On those smaller deals. So
small multifamily.
Participate if people know deals. I'm open either way. So.
And you're looking in the Chicago area?
That's where I'm looking right now, and be outside Chicago proper. So Collier County is also we're in a 5-county area here, so be out not just Chicago itself, so those counties as well. But somebody's been bringing me some deals out of state, and I don't know that I'm ready to do out of state again yet, but we're getting there probably within the next year. So when I say we're, I mean.
Yeah. Cool. What do you think separates successful real estate investors from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
Not giving up. I mean, you only fail if you don't go to work tomorrow. If you quit, then you fail. If you don't quit, you're not going to fail. And you can't give up. Just ask enough. I told you earlier, I did this group coaching call this afternoon. We talked about creative financing. And people say, are there creative financing deals out there? Yes, there are. You can go buy a deal, no money down, no money out of your pocket. You can ask the seller to hold the paper and be the bank. But you got to ask. If you don't ask, you never know. And I think people just don't ask, and they don't ask enough. So how did I sell so many houses? Well, I knew that if I made 20,000 dials on the phone a year, every time I picked the phone up and dialed it, I made $8. I knew my numbers. So you just got to ask. Ask enough, ask often, ask all the time.
That's great. Yeah, I can't remember what I was reading. I try to take in a lot of positive content, whether it be occasionally social media. I read a lot of books and stuff, but I was just seeing something like, being afraid to ask is something that so many people struggle with, but probably could be that one thing that really, maybe is holding them back, is just being afraid to ask.
Yeah.
I guess it never hurts. Quite as bad as what it probably, what it would do if you didn't ask, So great. Okay, fun question.
Okay.
Pancakes, waffle, French toast. You got to rank them in order from your favorite to least favorite.
Waffle, French toast, pancake.
And why?
Oh, man. I like a little crispy waffle with a little bit of whipped cream on it and some strawberries.
Love it.
Just the flavor, the context, the texture, right?
Yeah.
I like French toast. Thick, it's got to be Texas toast, right? So good thick French toast with some cinnamon on it.
Heck yeah. So. I had that for my high school graduation reception. I had French toast with Texas toast, cinnamon. Yeah. It was great. It was breakfast theme. So, I like that choice. I am the exact same order.
Are you?
Yeah. Yep. Waffle, okay. French toast, pancake. Great order. So great. Anything else you can tell our listeners about any last advice or anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, so here, I have a couple comments. First of all, back to the book. If you want to let your listeners know that they can go download a free copy of that, they can get a free ebook. Go to my website, which is mycoreintentions.com, and put in /exit plan. That'll give them a free download of the book. You can grab a copy yourself too, Rob. It's, I like it. I wrote it. It's a good read. So I think that be aware of things that change. Things always change. Things are continually changing, especially with technology today. Pay attention to stuff going on. I pay attention to Clubhouse right now. I think that's, listen, I remember when email first came out and telling my assistant, I said, Sarah, I will never use this. And she looked at me from outside the door of my office and said, oh, yes, you will.
Wow. That's crazy.
And wow. She was right. And, today I look at this stuff and I welcome it. It's like because you have to be aware of it. It's what's going on. So, and give back. You know what? Don't be in this for yourself. Be in this for somebody else. And I think that's a philosophy. Remember I said success leaves clues? He gave back. He had a method about giving back. And when we gave back, we did more than we ever expected. I didn't expect to do 78 deals that first year, right? But because we give back. So I just welcome anybody if they have any questions or need a conversation or want to talk, don't hesitate to give me a call.
Love that. Yeah, that's great. Any other way? So I guess if anyone would want to learn more about you or get to know you, check out your website. Would that be the best place for them to go?
Yeah, they can go to my website at mycoreintentions.com. They can send me an email at mike@mycoreintentions.
Or check you out on Clubhouse.
Check me out on Clubhouse. Follow me on Instagram. Like me, love me on YouTube. So,
love it. Good deal. Well, thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate you being on.
Thanks, Rob. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
And that will wrap it up for another week of Real Estate in the Tri-State. Thank you, listeners. And if you got any value out of this, which I'm sure you did, if you listened all the way through, please like, share, and subscribe, all the good stuff. Thank you again, listeners. And we are out.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Real Estate in the Tri-State. We want to encourage all of our listeners to send in any and all real estate questions to us at rottlerpodcast@gmail.com. More details in our show notes.
And as always, let's have a great day, folks.